All right, welcome back to Late Night Lately, the late night show. That's the show for cpluscomedy.com. All right, we got a monologue. Let's get to it. Hunter Biden has been indicted on 9 new tax charges after reports of his spending, which included not paying $1.4 million in taxes while having the funds, as well as spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on adult entertainment, including porn, which begs the question, what's he into? An appeals court upholded a gag order on former President Donald Trump to limit what he can say about an upcoming federal trial. But if his third fish delight of the day can't gag him, do we really think this can? These next 2 jokes I did not finish writing. Let's go along with it. 3 college presidents are in hot water over their broad stances on anti-Semitism, but what do they feel about Proust? I should have said it was Harvard and some others. Yeah, whatever. It's still worse. Let me think if I can think of. I'm looking at this next joke and I'm trying to prepare a punchline to this. The Gayle King, Charles Barkley hosted show King Charles debuted on CNN this month, and finally we get to know what Gayle thinks about the size of the women in San Antonio. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, and the New York Times released an opinion piece titled 8 Things You Should Never Say to Your Partner, According to Therapists. The top thing is, you'll never believe this. Hey, honey, I think you should check out this new article. That was a monologue. Let's get into the rest of the show. I also have the monologue for the next episode. This is late, obviously, but I also have the monologue for the next episode. Already prepared. The topics ready to go. I usually write 5 jokes. I have 8 topics written down, which is very nice. For some reason, Mac, Apple, this is not a tech show. This is not the Constitutionals. I don't just go off about any random topic because it's mostly a late night show. Listen, it's going to piss me off if it continues to be, if the M1 Max continue to have this bad radio latency when it comes to having Bluetooth. Now, I have a dongle plugged in. It's very important to note that I have a dongle plugged in for my Logitech MX Master 3 mouse and my Logitech MX Master whatever keyboard. On Windows, I had no issues, even connecting to Bluetooth. But here on the Mac, it's just jumping around left and right, up and down, not following things. Sometimes I don't even turn on the computer. Even the Steam Deck, it works. Even the iPad. I'm using it right now on the iPad. iPad's below the thing. It works. Just frustrating. See, it just did it again. Okay, here we go. All right, here we are, episode 16. This is for last week. I was unavailable on that Friday because it was my last day at my then current job. We don't have to get into that. This isn't LinkedIn logs. Charlamagne Tha God returned to host The Daily Show. And at this point, I will say, after we came back from the tour, I was going to say, the strikes, I thought, okay, I'm excited. We are back doing late night shows, and this is wonderful and fantastic. And I'm so glad to have late night shows back in my life. And then for a couple of weeks, I felt like I was at a point where it was February, March, whenever they started doing the guest hosting thing, or excuse me, whenever we started, before the strike was happening, the strike was looming, and I was feeling, and this is not just for the Daily Show, but I was feeling we're back in the groove of things. And I wasn't as excited, and mostly it's excited for the hosts who was potentially going to host, and it's mostly because they are reusing the same people, and that's not a knock on them, and it's not a knock on the hosts. I just feel as though it lost its luster when you stop choosing new people. Choose new people is what I'm saying. Any Hoosers, that wasted 2 minutes? There's no topic this week, so I gotta figure out what to do. Charlamagne Tha God was back, and he did a really good job. And I think he's a funny guy. I just don't think that he is the, if he is in the mix for the show, which I don't believe he is, but if he's in the mix, then I don't think that he would be the person to fit that show. Maybe I should save this for the later episode, for technically this week's episode. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll say it. Maybe if I'm thinking about it, who knows? I just think that there are more people suited to it, even if they're not the front runners for the job. Other people suited to it, rather. Okay, so what happened last week? We'll just go down the videos in order. Things that stood out to me. Colin Jost came on Late Night with Seth Meyers, and he talked about George Santos, as well as there was a very funny story with video evidence of him getting high on mushrooms and hitting the red carpet with his wife, Scarlett Johansson. And, oh, man, it's funny to see someone admit that they were high at some point and then see this thing where he's just staring off into space. Thought it worked really well. And then Seth did a closer look where he was making multiple mistakes. I think this is something I can say about Seth, and it's something I can say about Stephen Colbert, and it's something I can say about Conan when he was hosting a show, which will probably never happen again. Yeah, he's got the travel shows, but that might excite some people. I'm a traditionalist. When a host can make a mistake and then admit to the mistake, that's funny. It's like when you're watching, and I don't think this is. I'm not one of these people that looks for breaks all the time. But when you're watching SNL and a Pedro Pascal breaks, that's when the material is funny because it's ridiculous. You're doing a sketch. Sometimes when I'm watching SNL, and this has happened more so in the past couple of years. Let's say like the past 2-3 years that I've been watching the show. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, these are children putting on a play for the largest audience in the world. And that's what it is. That's what SNL is. And I think about this all the time. I'm watching it. I still haven't seen last week's episode. I'm just so far behind. It's Christmas. I gotta watch Christmas movies. But I'm watching Kenan Thompson and he's looking at lines that someone is holding just off camera, and they have to pretend their name is Giggle McButterscoot, and Giggle McButterscoot is adopting a dog, and the dog turns out to be I don't know, Olivia Rodrigo's foot. Not in a fetish way, you freaks. But that's what the premise of a sketch is, and then you just have to do that for 3 to 5 to 7 minutes sometimes. I know I've mentioned this before, but there's I like watching old episodes of SNL, and especially ones from before I was born. So anything pre-93, I just enjoy watching those. Well, they're not really good. Let's just say I don't think the 80s SNL is very good at all. You know what? I don't think a lot of the 90s were very funny. Anyway, but there's a Steve Martin sketch where he's playing James Bond and there's no laugh. There's no perceived laugh. There's no perceived joke until about 3 or 4 minutes in. And it's so long and it's so unfunny. And I think that's just such an interesting period. Again, I would love to teach a class on The Simpsons and I would love to teach a class on SNL. Not at the same time. I do one or the other. Who else teaches? James Franco? You think they canceled his classes after he was canceled? Professor Franco. You call him Professor? You just call him Mr. Franco. All right. So Seth had a bunch of... Anyway, so all that is to say is I like it when people make mistakes. I like when people make mistakes and then admit to it and then try to move past it. Colbert is particularly funny in that when he makes a mistake. I just think it's a fun thing. Same thing for Seth. Seth is very good at making a mistake and then commenting on it. Colbert makes a mistake and he tries to move past it and he's still laughing at the mistake. but Seth and Conan will comment on it and then just like do like 30 or 40 seconds on that mistake. And then Rachel Bloom came by late night. This is a banner week for Seth. But I love Rachel Bloom, if you know me. But you probably don't. Hi, I'm Chad. Rachel Bloom's fantastic. She was created the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And it's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I will support her in everything she does. And but anyway, I like this interview she did with Seth. Hasan Minhaj came by the Tonight Show. And you know what's interesting? Did I click on the wrong thing? Oh, man. I put in the wrong, whatchamacallit. Let me just type in. I was like, why does this episode of, or why does this clip of Tonight Show have 1.7 million views? Which is not a thing that happens anymore, really. This interview. I was like, why does this interview have this many views? Now I have to do this live. So this is what happens when you do things on the iPad. Trying to set up a show from an iPad. Okay, here we go. So Hasan came by Tonight Show, and he just talked about AI for like 10 minutes. He sits down, and he goes like, "I'm worried." Like that's the first thing he says. And it just gets quiet in the crowd. And I think a lot of this interview is, the crowd is, I guess, kind of waiting for a joke to happen. But that doesn't happen because not everything has to, I don't know. I mean, sometimes we watch these shows and everything has to be black and white, vanilla or chocolate, left to right. Sometimes things just hang out in this gray area middle, or they're northwest or northeast or whatever. That was camera. If you're technically, I held up and I pointed to the northeast, but from the camera view, it looks like I did northwest. Just saying. Jackals. And he sat down and he just starts talking about AI, and it's partially funny and also very true. So you don't really laugh at it because you're going, yeah, I mean, he's right. And Jimmy's obviously thrown for a loop, Fallon. And it was a great interview and I really enjoyed it. Next thing, this is a very funny bit. George Santos has been ousted from his job as Congress, I think. I don't know. And Jimmy Kimmel, Santos started a cameo to earn extra money, I guess. And Kimmel bought anonymously a bunch of cameos when Santos was like there. He was selling them for, I think like $100, something like that, or $70, something like that. I know I went to Cameo to go, this can't be real. And he made him say crazy things like, talking about how this guy lost a beef eating contest, and he paid money for this. And Kimmel said he bought a lot. And I think that's just the funniest thing, to mess with this person who is a bad person and did bad things. And, in the end, it's harmless. I mean, you read a fake cameo. You made, let's say, they were $75 and Jimmy bought 10 of them. You made $750. What's the worst thing that can happen? Yeah, you may look like an idiot. I just had the dog sigh because he's tired of whatever I'm talking about. Then Bill Burr comes by. Was that the same day? December 7th? I don't know. Bill Burr came by and he talked, he did his Bill Burr thing. He talked about politics, talked about family and everything. He's a funny guy, and that's another person that same thing with Hasan Minhaj, that I think people, they see kind of one side of. And when they get that side, but it doesn't fulfill the itch, then they're kind of off board of whatever they're saying. So like looking at what Hasan was talking about with the AI stuff, people were just kind of like, what is he doing? And then the same thing with Bill Burr whenever he comes to Kimmel, as opposed to when he was on Conan, that audience just kind of wasn't along for the ride. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on my couch laughing my butt off, like going, this guy is so funny. But they weren't along for the ride especially when when Burr was like basically talking as much crap as he was talking about Trump, he was also talking that same amount of crap about Biden, which is like just such a funny thing. And then also they barely talked about Leo, that movie that I watched, which is also very funny on Netflix, I guess he co-stars in with Adam Sandler. It was a musical. I didn't think it was going to be a musical. And then I watched it, and one song happened, and then, at the end of the movie, there's like 7 or 8 songs, and I'm thinking, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, Bill Burr was on Kimmel, and then Lily Gladstone came by Kimmel, and she got her time in the spotlight. I urge everybody to go see Killers of the Flower Moon. I really enjoyed it. More so because it is one of the few movies that Martin Scorsese has done that stars people of color. And again, Robert De Niro is married to 2 black women. And he's got a child with, and he has multiple mixed children with those 2 black women. And he's also got, I believe she is, I'm just going to say Asian. That's it. She's Asian. And now he's got a small Asian baby too. Half Asian baby. It's amazing. I just got an email that doesn't make sense. What? I don't know what this is. Okay, anyway. It's very interesting when someone clearly they see my portfolio website and then they try to email me or send me something through the contact form. Instead of, and all of, I kind of just want you to just, hit me up on Instagram or something. This is not for me. Whatever this is, I'm looking at. And yeah, I think it's fine to do this right now. This is not for me. This is wrong. That's impossible. They hit the wrong thing. I don't know if this is true. Okay, anyway. Okay. Okay, so that's it. That's it for my clips. I don't know what else I have to talk about. So there's not a lot of there weren't any clips rather from Colbert. He did have appendicitis. His appendix is burst, and I'll talk about that in the next episode. But it is a shame that he was not on. He recounted the story and everything on his first episode back. But we're glad he's okay. Because he was really waiting for us. Okay. What else is going on in the world of late night? You know what? I don't think I've talked about this. I know I've mentioned in passing, but since it's been a couple of weeks, the Daily Show, since they did get with Roy Wood Jr. having left, they did get new people, and I can't quite find their names, but I do want to comment on them. Let me find the new people. Daily Show correspondents. There's one whose name I am completely blanking on, and this hurts me so because she was just on an episode today. And they're not on the Comedy Central website. Put them on the website. We need if you're gonna talk about these people being correspondents, put them on the gosh dang website. Troy Awada and Grace Kuhlenschmidt. I want to comment on them. They've been there for both since October, and now it is December. It's been roughly 2 months. For everything that they've appeared in, they are very funny people. And if you listen to the Constitutionals podcast, which most of you do, most of the people that listen to this stupid show do, I last week I mentioned how Chloe Trost is now on the show, and her only thing is singing. She's yet to prove herself. But give him time. I understand that, and also she was already friends with people there, so it's not fair that she's on this show. Some people gotta work. I'm kidding. But you know, in the end, Chloe's a funny person. I will say that. I have seen some of her stuff. Actually, no, it's very funny. It's funny to like scroll. I don't scroll through Instagram, but whenever I'm about to post for C+ Comedy, and I see, you know, a suggested follow for Chloe Trost or some other comedian, and I click on their page and I see all these videos, or if I'm watching something and then I'll see somebody that I haven't seen, that I've seen recently, and they're just and it's an old thing and they just happen to pop up, and I just go, wow, that's interesting. I'm like, well, they can be funny. That, you know, all that said, I have not seen Grace I don't know how to pronounce it, Kulenschmidt and Troy Watt. I haven't seen them outside of the Daily Show appearances, but they're both funny, and the small things that they have popped up in for the Daily Show have been good so far, and that I appreciate. Also, I'm scrolling through both of their Instagrams. They're both queer, so that's two great diversity hires that just happen to be diversity hires. Amazing. All right, well, that's all the episode I have for you today. If you like what you heard here and you want to watch a video, head to youtube.com/C+Comedy, where you can also see the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, which is the business show, job podcast, as well as the Constitutionals podcast, which is the premier podcast, entertainment business podcast. And then also on the same feed for the Constitutionals, as well as on cpluscomedy.com. You can see me talk to your favorite entertainment people. There's 1, 2. By the time this episode, so after this episode, there'll be 4 sets of interviews. Technically 7 sets, but one of those will be 3. Press junket. That's what happens. Whatever. So 4 sets of interviews, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, whatever. I'm not good at math. This is why I went into writing. And 2 of them will be posting after this. And then you'll have another episode, and then you see 2 more. 2 more. No, you won't see one press junket until January. So 3 interviews left the rest of the year. And that's going to be great. I had to reach under my shirt and rub my supple body because I had a scratch under there. And then, youtube.com/C+Comedy to see the video versions of everything. Everything I do is in video now, and I need PR people to understand that. Hey, why don't you write up? No, I'm good. People don't read. Trust me. I can see the clicks. Social media, C+ Comedy, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, me at Chad Black White. And maybe I should start playing this a little bit earlier. I do it every single week. I'm not going to stop doing it, apparently, because I'm a big old stupid dumb face. All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.